What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to another episode of The Drop. And this week is a pretty cool week in video game releases, as it usually is. And this week is specifically cool because we are getting the release of Okami HD on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, as well as the PC, on top of PUBG finally making its way to the Xbox One in early access form, mind you. And on top of that, a couple of other interesting releases. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. First off, we have Okami HD coming to the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC. Experience the critically acclaimed masterpiece with its renowned Sumi-e ink art style in breathtaking high resolution. Take on the role of Amaterasu, the Japanese sun goddess who inhabits the form of a legendary white wolf on a quest to defeat Orochi, an eight-legged demon, the tyrannical monster responsible for turning the world of Nippon into a ruined wasteland. For those unfamiliar with Okami, it pretty much is like playing a Japanese painting, if that makes sense. It's one of the games that really stands out in my mind as one that was on the forefront of the artistic wave, one that really did play off of how the game looked as an artwork, rather than just focusing on gameplay and the fun and all of that good stuff. Of course, the fun and the gameplay are both there within the experience, but it is all about just how the game looks and how beautiful the art style is. Now, you might be saying, Sam, wasn't this released on the PlayStation 3 in that generation over there? And I would say, yeah, you're right. It was released and remastered a couple of years back, but to see it come to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One is something that is good because this is a game that I feel is highly underrated, highly underappreciated, and so I hope that as a budget $20 title right at launch, that a ton of people will have this on their Christmas list, that a ton of people will be wanting to play this over the holiday season when there are less big games coming out, and so hopefully Okami will be able to get even more of the recognition that the game truly does deserve. So if you want to play Okami HD, you can get it on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC this week in all of its beautiful new high-resolution glory. Next up, we have Gang Beasts coming to the PlayStation 4 and the PC. A very long road for this one to finally be released on a console. Gang Beasts is a silly multiplayer party game with surly, gelatinous characters, brutal melee fight sequences, and absurdly hazardous environments. Watch in horror and amusement as gangs of gummy miscreants fight to grab, pull, push, and force their enemies from suspended window cleaning scaffolds, neglected funfair attractions, and commercial haulage trucks. Gasp with shock and delight at the spectacle of pugnacious things punching, kicking, and throwing their foes into unspecified hazardous machinery, flaming incinerary pits, and the path of moving trains. If you're watching the gameplay saying, I swear I've seen this game before, you more than likely have. It has been in early access for quite some time now, and it's been released on the PC in that format, but a ton of content creators on YouTube did Let's Plays of this, especially whenever they wanted to play with their friends, because it is such an entertaining game, and that's why it's also gained some popularity and some traction over on Twitch whenever streamers get together and do a co-stream of it where they're playing with each other and they're all streaming. It is some incredibly entertaining content whenever somebody does use this game to entertain people. But on top of that, you can entertain people as well. If you have friends over that want to play a game, this is a fantastic one to get into because it is so simple, it is so fun, it is so quirky, and it is oh so entertaining. The game may not be for everyone, and I would say that I would not recommend it for the single player, but if you do have a group of friends that you play with, and if you want to do some content creation perhaps, then Gang Beast is finally coming to the PlayStation 4 and the PC in its full release format this week. Next up, Playerunknown's Battlegrounds is coming to the Xbox One. Xbox One console launch exclusive. Playerunknown's Battlegrounds is a tactical last man standing shooter being developed with community feedback where players must fight to locate weapons and supplies in a massive 8x8 kilometer island to be the lone survivor. Not just a game. This is Battle Royale. So a couple of things to mention here. This game is not a full game. It is still in early access and is being released via the Xbox Game Preview program, meaning that this is not version 1.0. The devs are still working on the game actively. This is ultimately the same version of the game that PC players have been playing since the game rose to fame over the course of the summer of 2017. For those interested in graphics and how the game is going to be optimized on the Xbox One, it does seem that it is going to be locked at 30 frames per second across the Xbox One, the S, and the X, which is some unfortunate news to be getting. Now, I made a whole video on that little debacle, and that will be in the description box down below, but ultimately, the 30 frames per second cap is going to be kind of discussed over the course of the next couple of months as they are ramping up for the version 1.0 release on the Xbox that's coming in 2018. So that will be interesting to see how they end up optimizing the game, but ultimately, right now, you're getting the bare bones version of the game, 30 frames per second, no new map, it is just the bare necessity PUBG. So with all of this being said, is the game going to be flawless? Absolutely not. Is it going to have a ton of bugs? More than likely. Will you get frustrated from time to time? Definitely. However, all of these things come together to make the overall experience that PUBG has been bringing to PC players for the majority of 2017. Next up, we have Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition coming to the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC. This includes the entirety of the base game that was released earlier this year, along with all of its DLC, including banned footage volumes 1 and 2, along with the new End of Zoe DLC. The delayed Not a Hero DLC is going to be available for everyone regardless of what version of the game that you do have. However, it takes place after the horrific events that befell Ethan Winters in Resident Evil 7. Not a Hero brings a brand new experience playing as Chris to face new threats not met in the main game. As a member of New Umbrella, Chris and team quickly set up a strategy to counter the latest threat. Will Chris once again solve the mystery of this latest outbreak is the question that is asked. And then the End of Zoe is a shocking installment of the Resident Evil 7 Biohazard saga where players discover what Zoe's fate will be. Players will face off against new enemies and explore new swamp-filled areas. So ultimately, for those that want to experience one of this year's best horror games, Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition is finally coming out on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, as well as the PC, bringing a $50 bundle of the base game and all of its DLC to you if you so desire it. Overwhelmingly, the big draw here is that you do get the base game and then that End of Zoe DLC. Of course, the other two DLCs are fantastic, but this End of Zoe DLC is what people are really interested in because it does fill in a big gap of the plot of Resident Evil 7. So if you did want to experience that, if you haven't had the chance to buy Resident Evil 7 yet, then you can get the Gold Edition, which is coming to the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC this week. And let's wrap things up with some honorable mentions. For the Nintendo Switch, we have 3 incredible games, the first of which is Yooka-Laylee, the game that was funded by a Kickstarter, was somewhat well received but somewhat disappointing. And then on top of that, you do have Into the Gungeon as well as Polybridge. Now, out of these 3, if I was to choose one to buy, I would definitely choose Into the Gungeon. That's just my personal preference, but you can take that into consideration and use that information as you will. However, on top of that, we also have Wolfenstein 2: The Adventures of Gunslinger Joe DLC being released on the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and the PC if you have finished the base game and you want some more of that good Nazi fighting action. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of The Drop. If you did, drop me a like down below, and in the comment section, let me know what you think about all of the games that are coming out this week. Does anything strike your fancy? Are you holding off and waiting until some price drops later on down the line? Are you big into the Wolfenstein 2 Gunslinger Joe DLC because of the incredible name? Let me know in the comment section down below, and if you do happen to be new here, I do upload new stuff throughout the week, so there's always something new right here on the channel, and I'm also live streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams. Come over there, hang out, check it out, and I would be so glad to see you in my chat box. But as for right now, I do want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I will talk to you soon. Peace.